Does this sound familiar? You've been playing guitar for a while now. You play some songs, maybe even play some songs all the way through. Some scales, your chords. You're going, and then strangely, it feels the progress just kind of sort of stops. You keep learning songs, but aren't really getting any better. Maybe I need to learn more theory, you tell yourself, and so you go to YouTube and watch video after video to try and fix your problems, only to end up lost and frustrated because either things contradict themselves or there's a principle that isn't quite clicking. Now, instead of having fun playing guitar, we're going in circles, unsure of what to do or where it's all leading. I want to say first that it's okay to feel this way. I mean, I've been there. Heck, we've all been there. For every guitar player, we run into a plateau sooner or later. And for most of us, it's usually in the middle to late intermediate stage, because in this stage, this is typically where the things that were getting us so much progress suddenly stop helping. And for a lot of us, it's alarming because it seemingly comes out of nowhere. When this happened to me, I was worried that I hit my peak, and a lot of the songs by the people that I wanted to play like, it seemed at that point that it would just never be possible, that I'd never be able to play fast enough or clean enough. And if this is you, maybe you're feeling that way right now, the good news is that it isn't true. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to never plateau again. Now, I know that's a pretty wild claim, but I just want you to bear with me for a little bit so I can explain. You see, when we hit the intermediate stage, something happens. Things are no longer new. That C chord that used to give you so much trouble feels second nature now. The riff you always wanted to play, well, you can play that, and you can do a lot more than that too. The progress stops not because you hit your peak, but by doing the same things you've always done, your playing isn't expanding. In other words, we're focusing on the wrong things, or we begin to focus on the wrong things. Where a lot of people tend to run into trouble with this is when they're trying to fix it, they just assume that we need to just do more. Learn more theory, learn more songs, learn more scales, whatever. But this is just essentially doing more of the wrong thing. Now, I'm not saying don't play songs anymore. I'm not saying don't learn scales or anything like that. In fact, you should do those things. Music and playing an instrument is supposed to be fun. That's why it's called playing an instrument. But if you're really seeking a breakthrough and getting past that intermediate slump, then I want you to consider something. When you get sick, it usually isn't your entire body that is messed up. Usually there's one component that isn't functioning at an optimal level, and that affects how the rest of your body feels and functions during that illness. And it's the same with cars. If there's one piece of the engine that isn't functioning properly, the entire vehicle suffers. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that there are little components that make your playing, and they're always either helping you or hindering you. And there's an old saying, it's all in the details, and that very much applies here. The key to breaking free from where you are right now is in the small mechanics that go unnoticed by most guitar players. For your specific issues, obviously, I wouldn't be able to diagnose them unless I was sitting in front of you watching you play. But what I can do for you, and what I'm going to do for you in this video, is give you an outline of what to focus on, how to divide your practice up, so that instead of aimless playing, we're practicing with intent. Now, I've always divided playing up into 3 different categories. Picking, which is the art of playing with the pick. Legato, which is playing without the pick, so mainly using your fret hand. And arpeggios, which is a fusion of the two. For those who don't know what an arpeggio is, the really short definition is just a chord being played one note at a time. So to keep this video from being 6 hours long, I'm just going to do a quick overview of each one and show you how to lay out your practice time so that you're always hitting these 3 areas every day you pick up your guitar. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel, as in other lesson videos I'll be hitting phrases and exercises targeting these exact things, and you can easily take the ones I use here and implement them into the regimen outlined at the end of the video. So let's get into it. Category 1, that is picking. This is the art of playing with the pick, and if you've watched any of my other videos, I've already gone into some pretty good detail about what to watch out for here. But the idea is essentially that you are focusing solely on mastering the art of the string change and keeping your hands synchronized together. So that includes things like muting, inside movements, outside movements, directional movements, the economy of motion, tension control. And you notice how none of these things are a song title, right? So these are some of the things that are used to actually make the songs work. In other words, the small details that improve over time that will affect your playing as a whole. Picking does include things like bends and vibrato and all the really cool sounding stuff, but we'll cover those things later. So for both category 2 and 3, it's essentially the same as category 1. So of course I'm talking legato and arpeggios now. However, here, the picking functions mainly as a tool to funnel the muting and for other things like dynamics, so accents and those types of things. So when we sit down to practice, we want it to look something like this. For the sake of the outline, I am essentially carving out an hour, so we practice for an hour. These are the time allotments. You can always adjust it based on how long that you have. I mean, we all have lives. And you don't even have to do everything all at once, right? So if you want to do 10 minutes in the morning and then come back and do 10 minutes after lunch or something, that always works too. So the way I outline my practice is I always start off with picking exercises. So I always do those for 10 minutes, okay? Legato, also 10 minutes. Arpeggios, also 10 minutes. So in other words, 50% of whatever it is that you play, whatever you have allotted for your guitar time, half of that is going to be dedicated to the big 3. So in other words, if you are focused on building those three things, but not just playing them, but focusing on the mechanics involving them. So again, the actual movements and the control and the muting and all that other stuff, you will see progress continually, because these are things that you never truly master, but you always improve upon, right? And when you look at a lot of these really advanced guys, and especially when you see how their hands aren't really moving, that is control. And you can really summarize everything we're talking about in this video by using that word, control. Now, I do want to bring attention to the 4th category here, which I've just labeled as fun. Because remember, music is supposed to be fun, right? So in our constant pursuit of power, don't forget to actually slow down and enjoy playing the guitar. So fun, this is where things like the songs go. Getting out a backing track and improvising a solo over it or something like that. But what I tend to do with the fun thing, so let's say I have like a couple songs that I'm going to play for the day, I implement the exercises inside those songs, right? So if for my picking section, I'm doing like a quick scale passage. When I improvise a solo in the fun section, I'm going to include that picking passage somewhere, right? So I'm still having fun, but at the same time I'm integrating and I'm applying and implementing the things that are actually making me good at the instrument, okay? And so again, just to kind of summarize everything, we have a big 3 that we're using. So it's picking, legato, and arpeggios, and if you practice these 3 things, you'll notice that the plateau starts to climb again. You don't get stuck anywhere near as much because you're focusing on things that are ever expanding. Right, so of course you can throw things like bends and vibrato in there. You can throw things like the modes, or that super cool tapping lick that you learned from that one Van Halen song, right? And so as you build and grow this, you can implement this schedule here. And like I said, if you do that, you will never plateau again. So as with everything, if there are any questions, make sure you leave a comment below. I love them, so ask away. And then if there are any things that you feel that I missed, also let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.